It's deja vu all over again. That's really the term that I came up with when I made this video, when I started to make it, when I started to think about making it. Might as well go ahead and just say this. This has been done before, and it is being done yet again. Another year has nearly come and passed, and another year of being reminded of why WWE sucks. Now, before someone sees this video and says, hey man, why are you attacking the performers? I'm not attacking the performers. I have respect for every one of them that get in the ring. I have every respect for what they do, the wear and tear on their bodies, continuing to go state to state, country to country, every single day, week, year, months. The life of a WWE superstar, we all should respect for what they have done for us in terms of entertaining us. That is not what I am making this video attacking the performers on. They're not even going to be attacked. The fact is, though, creatively, that yet again WWE continues to give us more of the same. Now, I grew up watching wrestling for the longest of time, for decades. I've seen the USWA, WCW, the NWA, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, even the early years of WWE. We all followed the Monday Night Wars. We followed WWE versus WCW. We followed the later years of WWE versus TNA to WWE versus AEW. And no matter what, we always stuck by WWE because of some loyalty and because of the fact that we supported the performers. But creatively, we did see some things over the last several years and even this year that really are a reminder that WWE will always put their agenda first before doing things to make the fans happy, because it's not about the fans. It's never been about the fans at all. Because the ideas that they push from a creative standpoint have always been the same repetitive thing over and over and over again. Weekly rematches, too many pay-per-views, too many championships, the notion that they have to keep bringing back past part-timers for main event spots because they don't trust their locker room, etc., etc., etc. I guess I'll start with the too many titles. There are too many champions in WWE. It makes absolutely zero sense to have these many titles. Why do we need to have so many champions? It's meaningless. Too many championships and no divisions is the dumbest logic ever. Where back in the day, 20 years ago, they had very few basic titles, divisions, packed with talent. It was the better approach, where now everything is backwards. Their logic is, let's make everybody a champion. The problem is, without divisions, those titles are useless. We don't need to have tons of champions. We never did need tons of champions. But their logic is, hey, you know what? Let's create more titles and not even build our divisions up. At what point did they ever think that too many championships was a good thing? Combined with the fact that we still have the dual brands in the draft lottery, this is another area that I want to go ahead and complain about. Why do we need to have the WWE draft when most of the time the performers are going from one show being buried to the other show being buried? Or they appear on the other show, zero explanation as to how they do that. They're trying to say these are dual brands, but then people from SmackDown appear on Raw and Raw appear on SmackDown. There's no explanation. It's just a they just do whatever, and it automatically makes people think, gee, this is good TV. The Judgment Day appears on SmackDown. The Bloodline appears on Raw. I don't get it. I just don't get it. The whole point of the draft is you want to keep performers on one show and some on the other show. We're supposed to believe that these are separate brands. One's supposed to be better than the other. You know, I miss the older days, the early years when they started this, when Vince McMahon ran SmackDown, when Ric Flair ran Raw. I kid you not. It was a very interesting time because we all were wondering, like, how would they pull this off? Because for years we didn't have this. We didn't have the separate entities and dual brands. We just had Raw and SmackDown and Sunday Night Heat and WWE Velocity. But when they created the dual brands, it gave people from one show to go to the other and have more screen time. But every time when they do these things now, whoop-de-freaking-do. People going from one show to another show and being buried. Oh my God, that says originality. I don't know about you all, but I am tired of the dual brands. I'm tired of GMs. I'm tired of all of it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it. It's run its course. We don't need to have separate brands. If they have to, go on ahead and unite the two brands together, the divisions, create the divisions, stack them up. That way, these championships seem more like they're worth having. That they're worth more to investing our time in to see who's going to be champion and who is going to lose a championship. We don't need these dual brands. Because if anything, that's why the divisions are not happening. It's just two people facing each other for a title, months and months and months on end, and it loses all meaning to keep on watching it. Okay, that is one of the things that they need to get rid of. The dual brands, we've got to do away with certain championships. Let me tell you about the championships. The only ones I ever consider to be the real championships, the WWE title, the Intercontinental title, one set of tag team championship, a women's championship, and if they have to, back in the day, the hardcore title. Okay. But over the years, we had so many expansions. We had the Universal title. We had the WCW US title come back. We had more tag team champions. We had women's tag team champions. We had, I can't even get into this. Like, there's so many titles, and they just got to do away with excessive titles. It doesn't work. And while I'm on the subject of going back into a previous rant videos on WWE, are you sick and tired of the rematches constantly? The Usos versus the New Day, Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar, Bill Goldberg comes back, gets a title shot, etc., etc. We've seen the same rinse and repeat logic over and over again. They don't have a lot going with these divisions, so we're seeing the same rematches constantly. Don't get me wrong, from an ability, the performers, they do a great job in these rematches because they have to go out there and work with someone they face over and over and over again. It's not the ability aspect, it's creatively to why this doesn't make sense. Another reason why it doesn't make sense is because we have too many pay-per-views. That's another thing that's contributing to these rematches. We have pay-per-views practically every month, sometimes twice a month, of dual brands. But all it's doing is shoving more rematches at us over and over and over again. The idea that we're getting the same rematches constantly after 2 or 3 times. They want us to believe that this is original when the rematch curse is one of the reasons creatively why this company sucks. When you have to sit back and watch the same people face each other over and over again, and you already seen them do their finishers, you've already seen them wrestle each other to where you want to change the scenery, but they're not going to want to do that. They just want to keep doing the same thing constantly, and it gets to a point where it's overkill. It's like watching the same movie over and over and over again, thinking it's going to be different every time when it really isn't. You're just going to be watching the same thing. This was one of the reasons why the PG era fell. Why it is that the Attitude Era and the Ruthless Aggression Era were much, much better. Because they didn't give us rematches all the time on the excessive level that we have seen in the PG era. If anything, going back to what better times were and what worked, if you look back at WWE 15, 20 years ago and look at it now, you're going to see exactly what I mean. I have seen so many rematches to where I just lose all interest in watching their shows. This is one reason why I can't watch Raw and SmackDown. Another reason, and I've stated this in videos, bringing back past part-timers for main event spots. Don't get me wrong. I know they got to bring back Goldberg, Edge, John Cena, The Rock, because of the fact that they're affiliated with WWE's past years and because they still have fans. Hey, fine, bring them back. But the argument I make is, why do they get bumped ahead to be given title runs or go for titles when you have a locker room full of people who work all year round who are still not getting a break? Roman Reigns has been a great Universal Champion. Top heel in the company, no doubt about it. But look at where most of his title defenses have been. Goldberg, John Cena, Edge, okay? Brock Lesnar. You've seen more past part-timers getting title matches with Roman Reigns than the actual current guys. There have been some full-timers that have gotten title shots against Roman Reigns or gotten offered title opportunities, but it's overshadowed by the fact that they've got past part-timers constantly coming back. And the notion is that WWE wants you to believe that Bill Goldberg and all these other ones are still as young as they were 20 years ago. They're not. They keep bringing these people back. It's going to demoralize the locker room, and that's why people have wanted to get out. That's why they've gone to AEW. That's why they went back to Impact Wrestling, because they're tired of grinding away and not getting a shot. And you already can look at that WrestleMania plans for next year. They tried to get The Rock versus Roman Reigns this year. They're going to try and do it next year. The problem is they failed to explain how are they going to put The Rock in a full-time basis when he's in Hollywood. If he beats Roman Reigns for the Universal title, how are they going to make him wrestle anybody else when he's committed to Hollywood? That makes no sense. The Rock does not need another title for people to remember the man's name. The man is always going to be remembered as one of the many that helped WWE's Attitude Era overcome WCW and just keep going years and years and years. He's already a Hollywood actor. The guy's won championships. What more do you need him to do? Yes, he beats the tribal chief, but here's the thing. Roman Reigns is going to be leaving it possibly after WrestleMania to take a break or go to Hollywood. So who steps up to face The Rock when they're holding everybody down? Does that make any logical sense? Meanwhile, let's look at Cody Rhodes, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, Drew McIntyre. So many names full-time in WWE, and they're being ignored. They're allowed to go for those mid-card titles, and that is it. Back in WWE's Attitude Era, we had how many people for the WWE title in the division? Austin, Rock, Triple H, Mankind, The Undertaker, Kane, Ken Shamrock, all these guys. You just had an endless amount of talents where now all you have is a basic few people. But their logic is, let's keep bringing past part-timers back. Let's make you see John Cena another time. You know, the guy who always ran down The Rock and chastised The Rock, but then years later, John Cena went on to be an actor. The guy who was loyal to WWE, but when Hollywood, like The Miz said, came knocking, when they came calling for John Cena, what did Cena do? Did he stick around for the C Nation? Did he turn down Hollywood to be loyal to WWE? No. The man was gone before you know it. And it's the same old thing with these past part-timers. WWE will not let them go, and that really is the issue. They can come back. It's not really if they come back or not. It's by the fact that we got too many of them that come back for main event spots. And while I'm on the subject, let's talk about the women's division, the tag team division, for example. And even the singles titles. Why do we need to have so many titles when half the time they've got random teams thrown together that they don't even look like they have any intrigue or chemistry? They don't even look like they work very well together. You might have Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. They're a decent team. You had Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler, who were destroying everybody despite, again, they were put in a tough spot because Ronda Rousey was leaving. So they had to take the belts off of them and get them to feud, and then Ronda would leave. But that's it. Who else in the women's division is a solid team that has chemistry? I can't think of any of them. You had Sasha Banks and Naomi that saw this for what it was. They put the women's titles down and then they left. If they're not going to make an attempt to put teams together that make sense, why not just do away with the tag team division? Why do we need to have two singles women's champions? Let's have one single women's champion who can defend on both shows. Like when the brand extension happened, when the undisputed champion has to wrestle on both Raw and SmackDown. Why can't we have that logic for the women's championship? If anything, that's going to change the scenery and it's going to open up more people to go for the title. And it's a change of scenery to where we're not getting rematches. That's the way they should do it. With all titles, not just the women's championship. And it's lost on them. You're telling me that we need to have so many championships, that we need to have teams thrown together that look like they don't have any chemistry. And, you know, the thing is, it's really becoming a repetitive thing with these problems to where, I like making videos from time to time and being like this, but if WWE doesn't get with the times and start doing some serious changing around we're going to keep seeing another year of this stuff. WWE was just bought by Endeavor. Maybe they might have any luck, but it's going to be the same old WWE over and over again. You're always going to see more of the same. And the thing is also another thing about this, the storylines in WWE, they're trying to portray them as serious, but they often come off as too comical or too boring. Or they're pushing people in a very silly way that makes absolutely no sense. This was brought to my attention from a subscriber of mine, Curran Ebrew, I think it is. I'm really sorry if I'm messing your name up because I know you're going to see this video. He brought up something about Shayna Baszler that actually has been on my mind quite a bit. And that is, they just took Shayna Baszler out of her tag team with Ronda Rousey. They build her up as a threat, but then they put her in a tag team with Zoe Stark. I have been the biggest Shayna Baszler fan ever. I think she still is the toughest woman in wrestling. Jiu-jitsu badass, killer. She's strong, she's intense, she can wrestle on the mat. She's got everything, but yet WWE passes her up and puts her in a tag team almost all the time. She was the tag team partner with Nia Jax, then with Natalya, then with Ronda Rousey, and now with Zoe Stark. The whole point of building Baszler up is to get her away from these people so she could build her own path like she did in NXT. Shayna Baszler should not be relying on tag team partners. She should not be tagging the people when she should be in the ring in a solo aspect destroying people. That is what Shayna Baszler should be doing. No more tag team partners, but they keep putting her with people and it's the same old song and dance. But they'll give a singles championship to a Charlotte Flair, to Becky Lynch, champions that have already been established. Here we are some 4.5 years later, and Shayna Baszler, since her NXT run, has still not gotten a championship run. What's the holdup? I'm happy for Io Sky being a champion, but that's not going to last. Baszler has been at this thing for a while with her game of being intense and tearing people apart limb by limb and really being really legit, but they're not going to put a belt on her. Figure that one out. I could really nitpick this company from a creative standpoint to why it is that this company needs to go back to times that worked. We don't need too many championships. We don't need freaking pay-per-views every month. We don't need past part-timers coming back to the main event level while the locker room is held down. They've got to try to do away with this kind of thinking if they're going to do good against AEW. And I know they know about AEW because AEW has really been gaining momentum. It's the place, the alternative to what WWE is. Although some say it's not the alternative anymore. But when they came in, they beat NXT in the ratings every single week. They have been really holding their own. They're the place where younger talents have gone. I mean, if anything, Tony Khan is proving to be a smart man. He's taking in all these people that were shafted by WWE and doing more with them. But WWE back then, over 25 years ago, they were the alternative to WCW, which was in fact keeping the old-timers at the top. Hulk Hogan, Ric Flair, all of them. But then WWE was like, are you sick and tired of watching the old-timers at the top and make way for the younger talents? They were trying to be younger against an older WCW. Where years later, now here AEW is doing the same thing that WWE, what WWE did to WCW years ago. So their own philosophy is working against them. It just, oh. Now do you guys see why it is that why I struggle to watch WWE shows? I know someone's going to see this video, hey man, then don't watch their shows if you don't like it. Watching it for the performers and showing respect for their ability is why I watch it. Okay? I can still watch it and have some enjoyment, but creatively, they've got to get with the times and start doing better for themselves. I personally think that they've really got to go back to what worked. Do we need to keep having so many championships and past part-timers coming back for main event spots? Too many pay-per-views, etc., etc. These are the kinds of problems that have held this company back. And that's why they're stuck. So I don't know. I really don't see this getting better. I think WWE really as a whole has gotten really terrible. I've gone on in a rant in this video like previous years and stuff, and I wanted to vent. So with that being said, guys, thanks again for watching this. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Hit the subscribe button if you're brand new to the channel. And as always, have a nice day.